Now, with our installation process out of the way, we can go ahead and spin up a very simple server. And to do that, we're going to create a new file called server.js. Now, in that server.js, we're going to throw up a little bit of code here, and then we're going to go back and explain what is happening. But for the time being, I just want you to follow along with me as I write this code. So the first thing I do is I'm going to write const express equals require express. And when I write require here, all this is doing is it's saying, hey, I want you to look inside the node modules directory for this express package. And if you find it, I want you to pull it in, and I want you to store what express is, what express exports in this variable here. And then I'm going to say const Morgan equals require Morgan. And Morgan is just a logger. It'll allow us to log activity that's going on in our application. And so what I've done here is that the two packages I installed in my package.json are now pulling into the server.js file. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new instance of Express. So I'm going to say const app equals Express. And so running this function will create a new instance of an Express application and store it in this app variable. Then I'm going to say const port equals 3000. And then I'm going to make sure that this server is listening on port 3000 for any HTTP requests. So I'm going to say app.listen port, and I'm going to run a callback function that whenever it is completed the list, or it is starting to listen, I'm going to console.log server listening on port 3000. Or actually, you know what? Let's just use that variable here. And then I'm also going to put a nice little rocket ship here, just for good measure. Perfect. Now I'm going to save this, and I'm going to run this server the same way we ran the donuts file earlier. I'm going to say node server.js. And you can see here it says server listening on port 3000. Now, if we want to check that that's working appropriately, we can head over to our terminal, to our browser, and we can go to localhost 3000. Now, when we do that, we're going to see this error here. It says cannot get /. Now, that's an interesting error, and we don't really see anything happening here. So let's go in and let's inspect the actual application itself using this Morgan package. So I'm going to say app.use Morgan tiny, which means just the very bare minimum logging version. Now I'm going to save this. The thing is that this server won't restart itself once we've changed the code. So we actually have to stop the server and start it again. The way we stop it on a Mac is by running Control-C or Command-C, depending if you're using Windows machine. And then we can start it up again with node server.js. Now then, when I head back to my browser and I refresh this page, I get the same error, but when I head back to my terminal, I can see that the actual request to our application was logged. It says get /404. Now a 404 response means it was not found. It currently doesn't exist. So let's go ahead and change that. Let's create a single route. We'll say app.get the /route, and we're going to give it a callback function of async rec res next. And we're going to say res.status 200.json, and we'll say ping pong, which is just a generic health check JSON. I'm then going to stop my server one more time, and I'm going to restart it again. And then I'm going to head back over to my browser, and I'm going to refresh the page. And there we go. We can see that our JSON has been sent via our index route, the /route, with the status of 200 to our browser. And you can also see here that it was logged with a status of 200, meaning everything went exactly as we expected it to. Now, if any of this you're not familiar with or doesn't make sense at the moment, that's okay. We're going to go over it in graphic detail in a bit. But for the time being, this is all we need to get a bare bones server up and running.